And welcome, everybody, to episode 61 of the Paws Up podcast. We're coming off that absolutely fire episode with Mike McIntyre back on the Big 6-0. And I thought we'd follow up with some more football talk because there's been some recent news as of today that we wanted to talk about, as well as some our thoughts on how baseball ended. I'm Jake Gibson, joined alongside my friend and co-host Kevin Barral. Jonathan Mayer will be with us soon. He's currently driving from a pizza place that he had for dinner. I think that's all the context you need. But this
Not that
is
much.
I don't know. I don't know. But we wanted to lead off with a look at the updated schedule for FIU football, as the times as well as most of the networks have been revealed. For the Panthers, they'll open up the season once again on the road and taking on the Indiana Hoosiers at 3:30. That's on Big Ten Network. We'll dive more into the schedule just off the rip, Kevin. What are some of your biggest takeaways from this schedule for FIU?
Yeah, I mean, we could just pull it up for a couple minutes here just to go over through it. Jake, put it up, please. Yeah.
Okay.
So honestly, the one that really stood out to me was that Shula Bowl. It's interesting they chose to do it on ESPN Plus. Thought it was good. And I know, Jake, and you could say this more than anyone, that the past couple of years the Shula Bowl has really been one-sided, and it's really gone over to FAU. I can't think of the last time FIU beat them, but it may have been 2018. But like, I feel like that's one of those rivalries that you should put on like a CBS Sports Network, an ESPNU, something along those lines. So I'm definitely really shocked that that wasn't placed on a more national stage. Now, the American Conference does an amazing job with their ESPN Plus productions, and Jake, really, it doesn't really matter for us. We're going to be there for that game.
Yeah.
Should be a good time nonetheless. Aside from that, really nothing else stands out. Obviously, I think a lot will rely on how FIU does to start the season, and that's why you see a lot of TBDs. Those are actually ESPN platform decisions. So those could be ESPN Plus, ESPNU, ESPN2. It could be any ESPN, the normal ESPN. So it really just depends how the team is doing, in my opinion. But if I had to guess, most of those will indeed be on ESPN Plus. So that is the takeaway. The only other thing to note is the possibility of the Vice game. Obviously, we knew kind of ahead of time when it would be. Still don't know yet. That's still waiting to be finalized. But if I had to make a guess, and this is just me guessing, purely guessing, not anything like that, I think it would be the same Houston game. It's on ESPNU. It says national, very nationally televised game. It's probably going to be the only game going on at that time, to be honest with you.
Right.
7:30 kickoff time at FIU. It makes a lot of sense. And this was announced, I believe, yesterday. Monmouth is the homecoming game. So cool. Unfortunately, on ESPN Plus, again, would have liked that one on CBS Sports Network, but whatever. It's fine. That La Tech one is an interesting one, too, because you have New Mexico State and FIU. I probably would have made that one an ESPN Plus game, making the La Tech one a CBS Sports Network game. That was really tight last year. Big reason probably why ESPNU took that Sam Houston FIU game. That was a double overtime thriller.
Yeah.
Should be interesting. And once again, that FIU UTEP matchup was going to be a fun one, 9 p.m. at the Sun Bowl.
That should be good. A late one, though. Reminds me of that Sam Houston State game that went to like 11, close to midnight. So who knows what could happen. One thing I would like to point out is the whole month of September for FIU football. They take on Central Michigan. We get some action at home to begin the home stretch. Then we go to the Shula Bowl, like you had mentioned. Our homecoming game is on the 21st of September against Monmouth, a very early homecoming game, might I add. But then the week after, you again host Louisiana Tech. So what that means is the entire month of September is nothing but 305. It's nothing but South Florida games. Granted, Boca Raton for that FAU game. That's not a horrible drive from FIU to FAU. So the Panthers don't have to get on a plane the whole month of September, which I think is super sick. I think it also makes for a really great I think it helps with attendance, just getting fans into the stadium. They can pretty much mark now the whole month of September as games that they can go to, and that includes that road contest against FAU. The Panther Nation should really attack Boca Raton that Saturday.
Yeah, and there are attendable games too. I believe if you could pull that back up one more time, they're all on Saturday at 6 p.m. So definitely worth making the move out there. At least all the home games, as Jake mentioned, the only one that's not home will be Indiana in that first couple of weeks. But yeah, I mean, I highly suggest you all to go out there to Boca. I mean, I think, and once we do our series preview, Jake will have his preview out on the Paws Up page. I'll have mine out on Sports Illustrated Fan Nation site, G5 Football Daily. That's probably going to be one of the most highly anticipated shulables in a very long time. I feel like both teams are pretty neck and neck, very similar teams or very close, tight teams that I think this will be a closer matchup than what we saw 2 seasons ago. And it's the first time McIntyre takes the Panthers over to Boca Raton. Last time, we know what Reggie told us, that it didn't go all too well for the Panthers.
Yeah. But, still a very exciting matchup. Yeah, absolutely. Now, some other things to point out. The earliest game that FIU will play at home and the earliest game on the schedule period is, well, there's actually 2 games at this time. It's a 2:00 matchup. The season finale, I should say, as they take on Middle Tennessee. They also take on Jacksonville State at 2:00 in early November. But still, I always love the fact that when I always love it when FIU ends the season at home. It always makes those games potentially very important and always gives fans even more of a reason to attend them because of how important this game could be for FIU getting into a bowl game. It's not like last year when the second to last game of the season they had to go to Arkansas and take on an SEC opponent, and if they wanted to be bowl eligible at that point, they had to beat Arkansas. Thankfully, you don't have a situation like that in the schedule. The back end of the season is just conference opponents. So overall, just at a glance, I think this is a much more favorable schedule for the Panthers in general than what it was last year. Obviously, you have the newcomer Kennesaw State. Hopefully, they can take advantage of an FCS school joining Conference USA. And just again, a lot of familiar opponents last year. I don't hate the non-conference schedule as well. So a lot of exciting things to take away from it.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of noted on it. It's an extremely favorable schedule for FIU. Middle Tennessee, first year head coach, Kennesaw State, FCS to FBS, Jack State, I think, and we'll touch on this maybe as we go deeper into the offseason of the athletics. Jack State may be the best team in this conference once the season ends. They have one hell of a team. Rich Rod's back until I believe 2030, maybe 2032. They brought in Zion Turner, who's an absolute stud, perfectly replacing Zion Webb. New Mexico State really went into some turmoil with their roster. Lost Diego Pavia, lost Eli Stowers, lost Jonathan Brady, lost Storm Thomas, I believe is his name, Star Thomas.
Yeah.
So they've lost a lot of names. Again, Sam Houston's a team that FIU beat last season. I mean, Jake, the FIU has the chance to really take an advantage here. Now, you mentioned NAC Nation. That's always going to be a tough division, a tough conference to play. Yeah. Indiana, no offense, probably going to be a loss, although it could be a little closer than
you never know. All the reasons why FIU could go in there and upset the Hoosiers are on the table. A brand new team, brand new coach, brand new atmosphere. Same thing with Middle Tennessee, by the way. A new coach for them as well. New Mexico State is a blank slate. There's a lot. There are so many opponents that FIU lost to last year that they could absolutely take advantage of this year. And like you said, there's still, I think Jacksonville State and Liberty will be the 2 top dogs of Conference USA. There's just no getting around there. And how FIU does against those 2 schools specifically will really punctuate how far the Panthers have come since last season.
Do you want to do while we were for Johnny a little way too early prediction, and then we'll
I know I do want to do a way too early.
We could revisit it maybe the week before, and we'll do another one.
Let's close the episode with that because I do also want to hear what Johnny has to say about it, even though I feel like I know generally what he's going to say as far as FIU record goes, considering he's Johnny. But the last things I do want to point out. The fact that, noon games at FIU, I've been to a couple when I was a student. They're awful. It's hot. It's humid. The fact that once again we luck out by not having to go to a noon game at FIU, very nice.
And honestly, I mean, it's obvious. I think the biggest thing is just going to depend how the team itself will do.
Mm-hmm.
But Jake, you were there last year. I mean, it was very noticeable towards the end of the season just how little amount of fans really went. After it felt like after the Vice game against UTEP, you saw Jack State. Really, nobody went. The final game of the season was Western Kentucky. That game really just had nobody there.
Yeah,
I mean, you're glad you're getting again. This is an extremely favorable schedule. And it just comes off with how you start the season. Central Michigan is one of the worst teams in the MAC. Indiana did not only beat one Power 4 opponent, and that was Wisconsin last season. Their other two wins came one against an FCS and then the other one, I believe, against an FBS opponent, so against Akron. So, I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better schedule. The most difficult opponent on here is going to be probably Liberty and Jacksonville State.
Yeah.
FAU is probably your third toughest opponent. Just looking at it from the G5 perspective. Now, obviously, Indiana is going to be the best team they'll play. It doesn't matter how bad they were last season in the conference or just how bad they were. I mean, this is an extremely, extremely favorable schedule for FIU. But
I agree.
I think something that needs to be noted here, Jake, is just you could talk about how favorable this is, but they only, out of all the teams on there, they only beat one of them last season, and that was Sam Houston State. Mm-hmm. So they got smacked by UTEP. They got smacked by Liberty. They almost beat New Mexico State. That was a really tough game for FIU.
It was a tough game.
They got destroyed by Middle Tennessee, and the Jacksonville State game, the fair catch game. We'll never forget that one. The fair catch interference. They kind of got screwed over in that game. So again, favorable schedule for FIU, but there's despite the uncertainness around some of these teams or uncertainty, FIU still. I don't think you should favor them for every single one of these games.
Speaking of which, Vegas, or maybe I should just say FanDuel, has their win over-under on wins at 4.5. So,
they changed it.
Yeah, the latest.
It was like a 3. I was checking it out today, and it was like a 3. So I was like, oh god.
I think that's a fair. I do think that's a fair over-under because that is. I mean, there's only one thing FIU can do at this point to improve, and that's just to win another game. Other than 4, you have to hit 5 at the very least, and of course, what you want to do is hit 6 and get your butt into a bowl game. So, aside from that, by the way, there's no point in this season where FIU has to go on the road 3 straight weeks, which is always good
too.
Yeah, I hate 3-game road trips. 2-game road trips are fine. 3-game road trips is when it gets a little unbearable. And like I said, there's no 3-game homestand. But that FAU game will kind of feel like a homestand game, honestly.
Well, I mean, you're right. Yeah, I mean, that one will feel like a complete homestand for FIU.
Oh, who is this? Johnny.
Hello. How are you doing?
Johnny, you were driving in your car.
That's false.
Oh, false information, huh? I have the receipts.
That's a lie. That's a lie. How are you guys doing?
Good.
We're doing good. We were just talking about the FIU football schedule, just sort of analyzing it, seeing what's up. Obviously, we have the times and the networks here. Just anything off the bat you want to say about the schedule, Johnny?
I mean, I like it. I think definitely. I'm excited about the vast obviously the October month. A lot of CBS Sports Network is catching my eye. I'm excited to get going against Indiana, but yeah, I think once we get to the stage where the broadcast gets announced, now it's just about the waiting game and getting ready for the year. But it's kind of a little nice treat to get a little broadcast announcement, in the month of when it's about to hit June. So yeah,
the fact that we got an ESPNU game, by the way, after unfortunately getting kind of blown out by Arkansas last year on ESPNU, that's very nice to see, and I think it's going to be a good game, Sam Houston and FIU.
Yeah, I mean, we also have to remember FIU really kept it close that game for about 3 quarters and a half. It really got blown out of proportion at the end of that game. So, FIU had a nice showing on ESPNU. It was right towards the end of the season. But, the biggest thing is finally playing a Power 4, at the beginning of the season. I mean, you look at how the season ended for FIU. I know it's 4 straight losses, a mirror of what happened, last 2 years ago. But just to finally have an opportunity, it feels like more of an opportunity now, because I believe, and Mayor, you could probably, tell me this. when FIU Knack's first year, I believe they played Texas Tech. I want to say maybe
that
was week 4. I want to say.
I don't think we played any Power Fives in Coach Mack's first year. They had New Mexico State, Texas State, Bryant, and there was one more.
It was West. No.
UConn. Those are the 4.
UConn. Yeah. Okay.
So there was no Power Fives last year.
I mean, there are some Conference USA opponents that have way tougher non-conference schedules with FIU. You know, you have teams like Western Kentucky, and I think Jacksonville State taking on teams like Nebraska and Alabama. You know, some of the best teams in the nation projected to be. So I'm not saying Indiana is going to be a pushover. They're obviously a Big Ten school. They're there for a reason. They have a good program. Western Kentucky, by the way, is the only Conference USA member FIU is not playing in the regular season. You know what?
Yeah, that's worth noting too, because next year with the incorporation of Delaware
and Missouri State,
both of them are joining at the same time. So that means
there will be 3 teams we wouldn't play next year.
Exactly. So if you're FIU, you're hoping Liberty's not on your schedule for the next
right, like the Liberties and the Jack States. But you know what? Considering our previous losses to Western Kentucky, I'm very happy with not having to play them. Granted, of course, you wanted it to be Liberty or Jack State, but Western, I'm okay with not having to play them. You know, save it for the Conference USA championship game. You know, that's
thankfully for everyone in the conference, you don't have Austin Reed and Malachi Corley there anymore. So
that is true.
Huge help.
Save FIU and Western Kentucky for the Conference USA title game.
There you go.
That'd be pretty lit. You know, a CUSA title game at the Cage would go pretty hard. I'm not gonna lie, maybe a little bit biased, but So, homecoming game, FIU taking on Monmouth. I'm not super surprised at the matchup, especially last year considering their homecoming game was against Liberty and it didn't go well for them. It makes sense to have your homecoming game against a team that you feel very comfortable that you can beat. And, of course, in this case, it's an FCS school. So, with all that said, it's going to be interesting to preview that matchup against Monmouth. We'd like to get some of the other Conference USA and even non-con podcasts onto the show to talk a bit about their respective teams. I don't know any for Monmouth. Granted, I don't know any for New Mexico State and UTEP either, so that's a bit unfortunate. But
we'll have to find some guys soon for that.
We'll have to. But so here's your schedule. Kevin had said this: the games against Louisiana Tech, Jack State, Kennesaw, and Middle Tennessee do not have a network yet.
Well, let me clarify. They do have a network. It's ESPN. They don't know which ESPN platform it'll be on. But again, most likely they will all be on ESPN Plus. If I had to guess, just knowing how they, not how they treat FIU, but just how they'll consider it. Maybe one of them slips onto an ESPN2, like a Jack State game, or
it could be
maybe a Middle Tennessee FIU game, which those teams would have to be doing very well to
if it's like a top 4 in Conference USA kind of matchup, as it would turn out. So we'll save way too early record predictions for the end because that'll be fun. I can't wait to see what Johnny says. For now, let's dive into FIU baseball because again, we want the baseball SID here. First of all, how was your time in Ruston, Johnny? The Love Shack, as they call it.
It was fun. I enjoyed it. Ruston's an interesting place to be.
Interesting in a good way, or interesting in a this place.
I enjoyed it. It's I really don't go to that area of the United States, so going to Louisiana was something new for me. So I enjoyed it. It was cool to be out there for nearly almost a week. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I would say Conference USA did a great job hosting the event. Great to meet a lot of the other SIDs, which is pretty cool. In the SID world. But no, the Love Shack is an unbelievable ballpark. I mean,
it looks beautiful.
I mean, I would say there's a lot of nice facilities in Conference USA. It's up there. It's really, really, beautiful. And the field was great. But it was a great experience. Obviously tough for FIU to end on that note. But for a couple of days, it was nice, especially after that Game 1 victory over Western Kentucky. But yeah, it was a cool experience to end the season out over in Ruston.
Did you have any Cajun or Creole food while you were in Louisiana?
We went out to a Mexican restaurant.
What?
Yeah, it was nice. It was called El Jarrito. It was good.
What?
Jarrito. I think it's a J, so I think you keep the J silent. But it was great food, great hospitality.
It's in the drink.
No,
That's the drink. Yeah, El Jarrito.
Yeah, jarrito is in the beverage. I love that.
It was called that, but it was a Mexican restaurant.
Well, it's a Mexican drink, so it makes
okay. I'm not too surprised.
I had a great fajita quesadilla. It was tremendous with some chicken. Delicious.
I can't believe you went to Louisiana and didn't get like Creole Cajun.
I'm not a big. I mean, I think that's not like. I think that's more like New Orleans type of vibe.
Whatever.
I mean, that's. But like also New Orleans, like 4 hours away from.
Next year should be fun too. It's in Lynchburg, so
yeah, get to check out that side of Virginia as well. So
I do know also that FIU does go to Middle Tennessee, which is not far from Nashville. So hopefully I could go with the team and we get to go to experience Nashville. That's hopefully.
Yeah, they're going to Middle Tennessee next year. Yeah, you're right.
It's
Western comes here. Yeah, it should be like that.
Yeah.
It's still wild to me sometimes some of the small cities in Conference USA. And meanwhile, we're here in Miami.
That's the thing. It's like that's the
that's one thing I was talking to Johnny about the other day. I was telling him it's easier to have those type of atmospheres at those games, like a UTEP or a Middle Tennessee, because those are very small towns. So you look at it, it's really all they have. I mean,
right.
You look at UTEP, that's a very, very strong fan base. By far, one of the best fan bases in.
And they don't even have a baseball team, actually.
And they don't even have a baseball team. But
or a podcast.
I'm just saying in general, that's all they really have. And they have podcasts for UTEP, and you see fans calling in. Unfortunately, just and thankfully we have this podcast, and we're trying to get that to a level. It's unfortunately you have the Miami Heat, you have the Canes. You have all these other teams.
The Marlins.
Not just in Miami. We won't talk about.
Did you just say the Marlins, Johnny?
The baseball season right now.
Yeah, man. And Florida, you have the Gators. It's not an easy market that FIU's in, but definitely made it their own, and they've improved a lot from where they were a couple years back.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about baseball and how the season came to an end. They defeated Western Kentucky 7-5. I think we all predicted FIU would get that W against the Hilltoppers in the first round, which they did.
I think I had the numbers right. I think I had the score. I need to look back.
You did? I actually, because I did 6-4. I said, I love Johnny's score 7-5.
I'm gonna listen back really closely right now, just so I can.
Okay. All right. Well, mute yourself while you do it.
So anyway, that was a very exciting game. The bats were great. You had players like Guida, his final stint with the Panthers. He did great that game. So did other players like LaCorey. Then they had to take on Dallas Baptist, a team that has given FIU hell since last year, and now this year was no different. They fell 8-2. So they were put in a winner moves on game against Western Kentucky. That same Western Kentucky team that they beat, the Hilltoppers had revenge in their mind, and they.
I had it right. I had it right.
You dead ass had it.
Play the clip.
Play it. We need the receipt.
Next, who is winning this game?
Come on.
All right, what's the score?
I'll say Panthers win 7-5.
That's lights out, bro.
Lights out! Lights out!
Good job, Johnny.
You know what? You earned that one, Johnny.
I earned that one.
We don't have anything to give you.
I did say Keyshawn Farrell was an X factor in the series, and he had 2 home runs.
Yeah.
He had himself one hell of a series, 2 home runs in that game. I believe he had a couple hits in every other game. So really couldn't have asked more from him, who honestly really struggled coming out of the gates with this team, but really picked it up during conference season. So good for him. Really happy for him. He'll be back next year, and they're going to need him because without Guida, Jeff LaCorey, you have a lot of guys who are leaving. Mayor, I think it's about 14 seniors that are leaving. So plus guys who are going to enter and have already entered the transfer portal.
Yeah.
So Dallas Baptist, they dropped 4 runs unanswered in the beginning up to the 3rd inning of that game. They dropped an additional 4 runs in the 6th just for some insurance. FIU managed to put in 2 runs in the 8th, but it was obviously not enough. Hitting-wise, FIU had 8 hits in that game entirely. It wasn't like the previous games where they couldn't get on base because they did. They actually did. They just couldn't bring in runners, and I don't know about you guys, but it felt like stat-wise, FIU was in that game. But when you watch it, it looked like the Patriots really had control of that contest from the very beginning.
No, it was. I mean, good example is that's how that game started. I thought FIU had a chance. I think Brian West got a base hit. Guia had a base hit. The runners first and second with less than 2 outs, and LaCorey goes into a I think that was a 5-4 or a 4-6-3 double play. So like right out of the gates, things like that, you kind of felt, okay, already momentum kind of stops. You have to go to the bottom half. So I think those moments where that kind of felt like FI is going to be in trouble, because if you have runners on, you got to take advantage of it. And unfortunately, FI didn't have that. And, I think for the Panthers, if they were able to win that game or compete, they had to take the lead first. FIU, it was successful heading into that. I think this year FIU had a record of like over 20-something wins, like 6 or 7 losses when they're leading, when they take the lead first. So it's shown FIU, if they lead first, they're going to win a lot of ball games, and that really wasn't the case. And it showed out, obviously losing by 6 to Dallas Baptist.
Yeah, and had they taken the lead, it would have given Owen Puck, who was really just unfortunately struggled a lot this season. Well, I'm gonna sneeze. Struggled this season. The lead, and it probably would have given him a lot less pressure to work with, because again, it was a team he had faced before, but a team. Whoa, oh my God. Talk, Jay. Talk.
Okay, fine. So we get into the Western Kentucky game on Friday, and once again, a pretty exciting contest. Western Kentucky gets on the board first in the third inning, but both teams exchange 3 runs in the fourth. Eventually, the Tops start to pull away in the fifth. FIU responds with 2 runs in the sixth and seventh, but FIU's bullpen cannot contain the Hilltoppers as they keep on adding insurance runs, 11 hits total. And unfortunately, that was it for the Panthers. So, I mean, how big did it play in to that game against the Tops, that the fact that Western Kentucky had lost to them already? They obviously knew what FIU was probably going to bring to this contest, not to mention they were mad, and they obviously wanted a bit of revenge. I can only imagine that was their case.
Yeah, no, just really quick what I was saying with Puck. He had struggled a lot this season, but he had a good outing against DBU the first time around. I think he went like 2 innings, may have struck out a couple. So, it's definitely a guy, and it's going to be a piece that they're really going to need next season. And, Mayor, we could talk about this more once we're getting closer, but Puck will probably be a weekend starter for this FIU team. And, maybe lowering the velo to focus on the command is something that he could work on, because he shows that he could be really good, get a lot of swing and miss, but getting ahead of the count is one thing he really struggled with. And then with Western, they came off of a game that going into that third game off of a huge win over, I want to say it was New Mexico State, an 8-2 win. So it was dominant from start to finish. That's really got it going. You finally see the team that you were expecting from Western Kentucky. So definitely a little disappointing that FIU kind of came out a little flat to begin, and then after that, they did start trading blow for blow, but Western Kentucky got the final bite of it. I don't know if it may have been Ekis, Johnny, who gave up those final couple runs to give up the lead.
It was tied at 5, and then Ekis gave up the go-ahead double in the 7th, and then Richie gave up the 2-run home run in the 8th, and that made it a 3-run advantage. And I thought that was a game where FIU was up by 2 runs, and then for Joel Pinheiro, who I think Joel's going to have I think he'll be a big factor next year. I think this is his first year coming off an injury, where I think, great for him. He was able to start every game, was healthy all year long, which you really love to see from a health standpoint.
It was really good.
Yeah, it was good. I think for him, which always kind of got the best of him, is he always had that big inning where he would give some walks, runs, and for him, he gave a big 3-run home run that was able to give Western the lead at that point, and FIU trailed, got back in the game, but lost. So I think for Joel, he kind of had that big inning, and eventually was the impact of why FIU lost that game. But unfortunate to lose that game. I thought FIU played very well. I think they had opportunities. I think the bats kind of slowly faded towards how that game ended. Down against Mason Burns, who had a good couple of innings in relief for Western Kentucky. But it was a weird game because you had to win, but also if you won that game, you had to beat DBU twice to go to the championship game on that Saturday.
Would have been rough.
It would have been very, very difficult. But I think for FIU, you just wanted to go in there, get a win, and see what you can do. But season ended on hopes on that Friday, and a little tough scene. A lot of guys were emotional. A guy like Ron Guida, Jeff LaCory were emotional, just knowing that their college career's over, and just looking forward and looking to see what happens in their future. So it was a little bit of a rough afternoon.
Well, all right. So let me ask you guys something. Knowing how last season went for the Panthers, if I were to have told you guys prior to this season even beginning that the Panthers in 2024 would finish 27-30, make the Conference USA tournament, and win their first game only, would you have been satisfied with that? Would you have thought that all right, you got more wins, you made it to the conference tournament? Is this just overall a good place for this FIU team full of seniors to finish?
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at where they were coming from last season, where it was Witten's first year. It was a team that really wasn't his. In all honesty, a lot of the guys just weren't his, and he had two good building blocks in Ryan Guida, Brendan Rooney, just some guys we had there that were his. Those were his guys, and eventually he was able to really build it up from one year to another. He brings in Brian Geralman, who really a big shout out to him, amazing recruiter through just one season at FIU. And he's already off to a great start in this offseason, bringing in 3 amazing JUCO players. So a lot of credit to him, Witten. They went from 21 wins to 27 wins, 6-win improvement. 3 players were selected to all-conference teams, 3rd most home runs in the conference. They had big wins against P4 schools, Iowa, Miami, and they have a really good core going into 2025. So, yeah, I mean, you look at this season and you told me FIU would make the conference tournament and win a game. I'd probably would have said we'll see, but I think Johnny and I were always pretty positive about this team from the start, that they would have a really good shot at winning this conference, and they put up a fight. They really did. This is a team that was really close in chemistry, and that's probably the biggest thing that showed on the field, that when they're all getting along and when they're all tight and close together and they get along on and off the field, that definitely helps. And they were working out at 8 p.m. I mean, Jake, we could say this now. When we were setting up podcasts, Austin Deering, Keyshawn Fred, those guys were telling us, hey, let's do it at this time because we got to go hit after, and it was like 8:30 p.m. and they were talking about the accessibility, the availability that they had to just go right there to the baseball field. And that definitely helped them. And they have a lot of pieces coming back. Uyola's coming back. What a huge season. He got snubbed from all conference, in my opinion. You have him coming back. You have Keyshawn Fred, Brylan West coming back. I mean, Owen Puck, Joel Pinheiro. There's a lot of guys coming back. So you have to feel really, really good. Not only how this season went, but where it's headed towards.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like they should have been over 500. I think
the
trajectory of the team, obviously, they had a lot of injuries that affected them. But at one point, after that sweep against New Mexico State, they were literally tied for almost nearly first in the conference. And obviously, tough series against Dallas Baptist, injuries happen, things happen, and unfortunately, you go under 500. But no, I think it's a stepping stone for Coach Wooden. Always in your second year, you're not going to have that full building class, but you're going to have guys that you brought in and guys that you want to have in your program. And they did that. They had a really good year. Offensively, 3rd most home runs in program history, most, if I'm correct, since been over I think 15 years. You have a guy in Ryan Guida who was a tremendous building block for the last 2 years. And now heading into this year or next year, you have a good core. We talked about Keyshawn Fred and Brian West, guys that are expected to have bigger years, and you bring in more guys, whether it's from this freshman class or even new freshmen, new JUCO transfers. But I was, glad they were able to get a first Conference USA tournament victory for the first time since 2016. But I'm excited for this year. And before you know it, baseball will come back, and we'll be talking about this whole new group of guys come February of next year.
All right.
And they're going to be really damn good. I mean, that's the biggest thing, too. They're already filled out that third base position with someone. Shortstop, we're going to see what's going to happen. Alex Uyola possibly could be a player to get drafted here with how good he showed. The bat, obviously, defensively, there's a lot to work on there, but still a lot of athleticism. I mean, we'll probably be talking about Ryan Guida real soon in a month or two once the All-Star break rolls around and the MLB draft comes. Maybe on day 2, we see Mr. Guida get drafted. He definitely has a shot at him. Yeah, so that'll be pretty cool. We have a Paws Up legend going to the major league to getting drafted to a pro team. Yeah. So that'll be cool. But FIU baseball may have been over in terms of the games, but I think the news is still rolling around, and we'll be talking about a lot of that in the next couple months leading up to, I want to say, fall camp and all that stuff.
Alrighty then. So that's it for baseball for a while, man. Just all the baseball coverage since the very beginning of the season. We've seen some highs, we've seen some lows, but overall there is a lot to be excited for when spring 2025 rolls around and we finally get back to the diamond. So with that said, there's a Panthers game in a few minutes, Game 5 between the Panthers and the Rangers. So let's not take up too much more time here.
Let's take up more time.
Oh, why is that, Johnny?
No rush.
You were just talking about Ryan Gueden. He's like the biggest Panthers fan I know.
That's true.
It's like we have like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. You know the games don't start at 8 o'clock.
I know. They take – we and Alex talked about this last night. They take forever to get going. So let's do end-of-season report cards for FIU baseball then, just like how we did last year.
Baseball, I think we should be looking at an FIU look, just like a quick look around this whole season, because there's a lot to be proud of with this university, this athletic program. I mean, swim and dive championship, Johnny, you were there. Tennis, conference champs, soccer, once again going into the NCAA tournament. Pretty nice run for the most part. They won a game in there. Football, unfortunately, 4-8 season, but there's a lot to like with what's coming up. Basketball, won a conference tournament game. So, there's a lot to be proud of with this season. Women's soccer gets to the conference tournament. They look really good. They had a great season. Mayor, you were a part of that. So
women's basketball had a
huge season. Unfortunately, ended in the first round, but they go to the NIA tournament or NIT, whatever it's called, NIT. Yeah. They won a couple games there too. So a lot to like with FIU and where it's going. Although now, when you succeed, there's going to be players, and obviously just how things go here, that they'll move on to bigger and better things. And that's what we saw with a lot of guys, but a lot to be proud of.
Yeah. Hard to disagree with that. Let's do a quick news break then as we start to cycle out here. You look at all things FIU athletics and just FIU in general. So don't really have a whole lot for news break here. I'm going to keep it above you. The original plan was to discuss the news with football. However, we did that, of course, with the Times, networks, and whatnot for the FIU Panthers. Something I did want to quickly talk about was something that the NCAA themselves is doing. The Rules Committee is meeting next week to discuss permitting schools to display corporate logos on the fields and perhaps patches on jerseys as the NCAA continues to monetize the game of college football in other ways besides just TV deals, viewerships, and et cetera. Of course, with the NIL and other recent endeavors, they will now look to do the same with, once again, corporate logos on the field and perhaps patches to jerseys. That's pretty much all I got for news break. What this does mean, gentlemen, is that we are one step closer to having Flanagan's on the as a patch on FIU's jerseys, which would go pretty hard. I'm not going to lie. Why is everyone muted except me?
There we go.
How is it actually going to happen?
Well, if the NCAA wants it to happen, it's probably going to happen.
I feel like, though, we should talk about more is how this college football game. Look, that's a pretty big deal right now.
Oh, yeah.
That's
quick addition to news break. Tomorrow, I believe at 9 or 10 in the morning, they're going to be doing a gameplay reveal trailer. With Kirk Herbstreit is hosting this. It's a gameplay reveal trailer of what we can expect from EA Sports NCAA 25. Of course, FIU is going to be in the game. The majority of the players, coaches, the FIU stadium, maybe even us on the sidelines will be in the game. So that there's your second part of news break. But no,
how excited are you guys for it?
My Xbox is ready. Kevin had the audacity to say that he's not sure that this game will run on his ancient PlayStation 4. He had the audacity to ask that question.
I have a PS4 too. I feel like maybe. I don't know.
No,
they're not releasing it on PS4.
It's only on the Xbox Series S and X, the PlayStation 5, and I think PC at a later date.
Well, we should play.
We may have to pull up to Jake's house then.
Low key,
or bring it to the office we can play at the office.
Yeah.
You tell me FIU Athletics can't buy a $500 console.
Or can we borrow yours?
I did always notice there was an Xbox controller at the suite area or press box area at the FIU baseball stadium. Yeah, right next to the TV there.
Oh yeah, they have.
You know what we should do? We should do a day where you bring your PS4. We'll set up a live stream and we'll play with FIU all the way until we win a national title.
That's the first thing I want to do. By the way, when I get the game, I want to simulate how EA thinks FIU this upcoming season will go. Because you can simulate seasons.
Jake, you need to bring it over, man. We got to do it together.
Listen, you can get a Series S for like what? I think they're like 300 or so. They're not too bad, all things considered.
But you could be a cool guy and
Excited. I played last year's Madden, so I'm kind of.
You haven't? Oh, that's cool.
Well,
Madden. I thought you meant the old NCAA game.
No, the last NCAA game was released in 2014.
Yeah, but I think
you can't buy 14 unless on eBay or something, and it goes for big money. So, it's very exciting. The amount of detail that they're putting into the game definitely getting us all hyped up. Now, I mentioned wanting to simulate FIU schedule to see what their record will be at the end of the season. You know what? That's what we're going to do right now. Since Johnny's here, Kevin's here, and I'm here, it is time for way too early season predictions for FIU football. We've seen a lot of the players. We've talked to the players and coaches of FIU. So with all of that said, it's time to start making some predictions as to how this 12-game season for the Panthers will go. So this is probably something that a lot of you fans have been waiting for us to talk about. So, gentlemen, I think it's time to dive right in. Starting with the season opener on the road in Bloomington, taking on Indiana. Is FIU going to pull off the upset, or is the expected outcome going to actually happen? Johnny, what the hell are you going to say?
Wait a minute. Write these down, Jake.
I'm writing them. Look, I have my notepad. I have a pencil. We're going.
Okay. All right, Mayor. Tell us they're winning.
Upset. It's coming.
Okay.
It took you that long to formulate the word upset?
Yep.
That was the most nonchalant upset I've ever heard in my life.
Bloomington will see something, and we'll see the Panthers storm into town with a W.
Kevin, do you say the same?
Honestly,
I'm already writing 0-1.
I don't know what to say. You better be writing it in pencil because
I am. Look, I got my notepad.
FIU's going to pull off the upset against Indiana. They'll get out a strong start. It's a first-year head coach. Well, first-year head coach at the P4 level. New quarterback, new system. It's not a really good Indiana team. And the one games that they did play against G5 teams, those were really close games. So I think FIU comes out guns blazing. Kewan Jenkins gets going, and they this time they do beat their first P4 opponent since 2019.
When they beat the Hurricanes.
You already
I'm not saying that. Listen, it's Big Ten, all right. I know that's not a valid excuse, but listen, I don't know. Just the fact that you have to, if it was at FIU like that game in 2018 was, when they took on Indiana, I would say honestly FIU has a shot here, but because it's in Bloomington, and not to mention they still have a new looking team, but they still have some really great talent there at Indiana. I think it'll be close, but I think the Hoosiers will get the win.
Were you there when they played the last time they played Indiana?
That was my first ever FIU football game that I attended, 2018 against Indiana. Yeah, and they almost won. They gave up the lead in like the fourth quarter. So
okay,
that was an exciting game.
This is a little personal game for you then.
I guess, yeah. All right, it's time for some action as FIU in their home opener take on the Central Michigan Chippewas in a 6:00 start. Now, are we all in agreement that Maction is one of the greatest aspects of college football, just in general? Some Maction is so good. I thought it was the second best thing about college football behind Pac-12 After Dark, but obviously that's not a thing anymore. So we're getting back into this. I actually feel confident. Again, Central Michigan, Kevin talked about this earlier, not one of the better teams in the MAC. FIU is going to be hungry. And a lot of the Panthers alumni here probably remember that absolutely horrid loss to Central Michigan over there in Michigan as well. So I'm actually going to go Panthers.
Wait. What loss against Central Michigan? The last time they played them was 2021. It was like a 3-point loss.
Yeah,
I think you're mixing it up with the Western Kentucky game, right?
No. That was the FIU blew it kind of game against Central Michigan.
We were
they had like a 17-point lead.
We were up by I think 2 touchdowns and like 2 points, like 19. We were up by 19 points.
No. They were up by something crazy and they blew it. So I'm actually going Panthers on this one. So I'm going to say they start the season 1-1. How about you guys?
To win.
Okay. So Johnny's at 2-0. Kevin? Listen, if the Panthers are capable of going to Bloomington and beating Indiana in your eyes, they should have no problem beating Central.
Yeah, but they almost beat Arkansas and they lost to almost every single team in the conference last year. So,
all right, what's your pick?
Oh my God, I don't know. Let's take FIU for the vote.
There you go. Some actual confidence for a change. You no wonder you and Johnny are friends. All right, next time. It's the Shula Bowl. Listen, for as much as we as much as we naturally dislike FAU because they're FAU, it feels weird not playing them in football every year. It was weird not taking them on last year. Now they're in Boca Raton. FIU and FAU are in kind of similar situations. Relatively, they're bringing some experience back from last year. FAU last year did not have a great season. They were just like on par with that of FIU, 4-8, I believe. So I think this is going to be one of the most even Shula Bowls we have seen in a very, 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 very long time. And you know what? I feel confident, especially because we're going to be there. I'm taking the Panthers to beat the Owls in Boca Raton.
All right, Mayor's going to say 3-0. Yeah. I feel pretty good about this one, too. I think FIU will start 3-0 on the season. The last time they actually beat FAU was in 2016. So it's been a very, very, very long time. But the last time they beat them in Boca Raton was 2012. So
how old were you guys back in 2012?
It'd be over 10 years since FIU would beat FAU at Boca.
I was 12 years old.
And we could take home the Shula Bowl trophy.
I know. It's a cool-looking trophy, low-key.
Maybe they'll let us take it home in the car.
Oh, that'd be great. FIU homecoming taking on Monmouth. Let's not take too long with this one. We're all going to be on the Panthers for Monmouth, right?
Yep. It'll be a little closer than I think we all expect, just, seeing what happened last year.
So the first 4 games are down. I have them at 3-1. Kevin and Johnny have them at 4-0. So they've already matched their win total, and we haven't even started the Conference USA slate.
Can I make an executive change on mine?
Go for it.
3-1. They'll lose to Indiana.
Sorry,
Johnny.
Johnny, if you want to make an executive change, now would be the time.
Nope.
So I'm at 3-1. Kevin's at 3-1. Johnny is at 4-0. On a scale of 1 to 10 on the realistic meter, Johnny, how realistic do you feel like this is all going to be?
Realistically, I would say an 8.
All right, it's time for the Panthers to take on the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs at 6 p.m. September 28th. This was a game that was the infamous 5 passing yards game last year.
4. Remove a passing yard.
Sorry, 4 passing yards game for FIU, but obviously things are way different now. You have Grayson James starting for FIU. Kevin, maybe you can talk a little bit more, or I say Grayson. I mean, Kewan Jenkins, lights out. Kevin, maybe you can talk a bit about Louisiana Tech and what they've done in the offseason. I don't think they've done a whole lot to really improve. So I again feel actually confident that the Panthers will beat this team. Like they should have beat them last year. I'm going to say they're going to beat them now.
Yeah, Louisiana Tech did lose Hank Bachmeier, so that's definitely a plus for FIU, but I believe they still have Jack Turner on that team, and that'll probably be their starting quarterback, and he was pretty damn good for them.
Yeah.
The last time FIU beat La Tech was actually in Miami. That was the double overtime game. Since then, we have never beat La Tech, so that was their first win in program history against them. But I think they'll keep it going. They will now be 2-5 against Louisiana Tech. FIU gets their 4th win of the season right away. I think we really noted how favorable this schedule was for the Panthers, and I think
Johnny,
all 3 of us are showing.
Johnny, they're going 5-0, huh?
Yeah.
Mayor, look, just tell us now. Are they going 12-0?
I'm being realistic though. I do say they'll go 5-0. I'm actually being serious. I'm not there yet. We'll
okay.
get to it.
All right, they're taking on Liberty on
That's my first loss.
October. I was genuinely starting to get worried there. October the 8th.
Mayor said they beat Liberty, I think.
October the 8th is a Tuesday, by the way. So we'll get some Tuesday night football here.
Well,
and I don't think they're going to be. They're not beating Liberty in in Lynchburg. So
I don't think they'll be as good as they were last year, and I think this game would be a lot closer than it was last year. But yeah, I think I made it very clear who I think who the class act of this conference is.
Jack State and Liberty.
No, Jack State.
Sorry. Okay, just Jack State. So Johnny's at 5-1. Jake, myself, and Kevin are at 4-2. Still very good. Like 4-2, realistically, is excellent to begin the season. Halfway. So now we're halfway down the line. We're 4-2. We're laughing. We are laughing.
Well, for now.
Now they got to go to the Sun Bowl and take on the UTEP Miners in a 9:00 game.
It didn't go very well for them last time they went to the Sun Bowl, if I recall. This was the game that they lost their bowl eligibility in Mac's first year. They lost 27-14, but they are 3-3 all time against UTEP. They have beat them at UTEP before, but their other 2 wins have come in at Miami. So I'll take that.
I feel like it's kind of a coin toss. It could go either way. Realistically, at least once in every season, your team's going to slip up at some point. And I feel like this is the slip up game for FIU. I'm actually going to take UTEP in this game. It's on the road. It's a late night start. Not to mention, obviously, UTEP wanting to change the atmosphere in their stadium and their program as well. I think they're going to get an unfortunate win over the Panthers. So I'm going to have them going 4-3.
I do agree. I think FIU is going to lose this game. I saw UTEP. They have a really fired up coach who I think is going to change their program. For the better. I think it's one of those tough games. You're on the road. It's always difficult when you go to UTEP or New Mexico State just from the distance of it. But I think FIU drops to 5-2.
What say you, Kevin?
Give me the Panthers, baby.
All right.
I think, and no knock on UTEP, I agree with everything Johnny said. Amazing head coach, Scotty Walden. He's going to be really good. He brought in some nice recruits, but unfortunately, I just think UTEP lost way too much talent. I was actually very surprised how much UTEP struggled last year with the amount of talent. They had 2 phenomenal running backs, the best running backs in the conference, in my opinion. Great quarterback in Gavin Hardison. Unfortunately, he got injured, and then he had some really good receivers. So I actually think UTEP and every player, almost all their starters are gone.
Yeah.
It makes sense with the new head coach. And fortunately, I think UTEP may be the worst team in the conference. And we still have an FCS team to talk about.
I know. So
it just kind of shows you where I'm at with this team. But yeah, I think FIU goes into the Sun Bowl and really not. I don't think they'll blow them out. I think they'll keep it close, but FIU is going to pull away right at the end.
So I'm at 4-3. Kevin and Johnny are at 5-2.
I'm at 5-2? No, I'm at 5. I have to be at 3. I said they would lose to Indiana. Yeah. Okay. Whoops.
Now they're going to host Sam Houston State on what we are assuming will be Vice Night for the Panthers.
It could be. We don't know.
It could be 7:30. It's not going to be a double overtime thrower like it was last year. I think the Panthers will actually take this one kind of handedly. I think I'm going to say FIU wins this.
I agree. I'll take FIU. I don't think they have Keegan Shoemaker there anymore. A lot of pieces left just due to eligibility, and I don't think they brought in enough to really replace it. Very shaky quarterback room. I think FIU wins it.
Yeah. Johnny?
Give me the Bear. Actually, no, give me the Panthers.
Oh, wow.
Holy crap.
They're going
ball. Honestly, if this is the Vice game, who knows if it will be, but that'll be pretty cool. They finally get the chance to celebrate with the Lambos.
I know.
Finally.
So Kevin and Johnny are at 6-2. FIU is already going bowling, and we still have 4 games to go. I'm at 5-3. So take that with a grain of salt. So the final 4 games of the season, FIU hosts New Mexico State. Again, I feel like it's a coin flip kind of game. It can go either way. I will actually take. Do I do it? I'm taking the Panthers. They'll beat the Aggies at home. It's going to be a close one. This could be that overtime kind of game that goes absolutely crazy. But I'll go with the Panthers here.
Give me the Panthers. New Mexico State lost a lot of pieces. Pavia, wide receiver, running back, tight end. They lost it all. New head coach. I said UTEP was bad. I honestly think this is going to be the worst team in the conference this upcoming season. Give me the Panthers, and I think they're going to blow them out at home.
Interesting. I think that's an interesting perspective. I'll take them as well.
Okay. All right. Very relatively similar records, just overall here so far. Then they have.
Why do
to
we
go,
have them winning so much, man?
They
did this
have
last year
now.
too.
They got to go to Jacksonville, Alabama, and take on Kevin's front runner for the Conference USA champions. I think we're all going to be in agreement here. They're not going to win this one.
Nope. Johnny, what, you're taking them? You taking FIU?
Eighth win.
Why? Explain your reasoning. How are they going to go into Jacksonville and beat the Gamecocks?
I think the momentum riding high of winning will help them win this game.
They have arguably an even better quarterback.
I do agree. I think Jack State's going to be really good this year, but there's something called a trap game, and Jack State will have to suffer it.
That is true. Could be a trap game, but
we'll have a trap game. I'm going to tell you which game we're going to lose coming up, and I think those games are very winnable. I'm not going to tell you.
They're going to lose to Kennesaw State, huh?
Let's get right into it then. FIU taking on the newcomers of the conference, the Kennesaw State Owls. Screw the trap game. FIU is gonna actually.
We are winning that game. Now we're running that game.
I think they're losing.
Really
interesting.
I think Kennesaw's pretty good, man. They had their best recruiting class in program history. They're going into this with a new perspective. They were a really good FCS team. I think FIU loses. And again, FIU's going to Kennesaw State. That's not them coming here.
It's not a long road.
And they didn't do very well against FCS opponents that came to FBS. So they barely beat Sam Houston, and they got, unfortunately screwed over out of that Jack State game.
So our overall records just got flipped. Kevin and I are at 7-4. Johnny is at 9-2.
Technically, Johnny's record has them making the conference championship.
We'll see. There's one game left to go, and it's another wild card kind of game. FIU hosting Middle Tennessee to end the season. It's an early 2:00 start. Could be a trap game, like Johnny said, but FIU is due for a win against the Blue Raiders. And again, they have a brand new head coach over there in Middle Tennessee. Who did they lose? Who did they lose this offseason, Kevin? Anybody?
Elijah Metcalf. I know that was the name we were really high on.
Yeah, it's a big one. Yeah,
they lost a lot of guys. Not exactly any notables that I can recall right now. I would have to look back, obviously, when the time comes. But yeah, new head coach, very experienced guy. He was, I believe, a head coach at Vanderbilt and Auburn, Derek Mason. But I think Mr. Mason will get his first win against FIU. FIU loses at Middle Tennessee. And at Miami here against Middle Tennessee.
Yeah, so I thought about a trap game. I'm not taking a trap game. We're going to win this game. We're going to get 10 wins this year. 10-2.
Conference championship.
Oh, I don't know if we have the – well, as I said –
Stop it. 10-2, you're getting in the conference championship.
He would finish, what, 4 and – no.
Mayor has him with a 6-win improvement.
Hold up, sorry. 6-2 in conference. 10-2 is going to be our record, and we go to a bowl game.
Well, obviously, you're going to a bowl game. Are you making – I haven't even made my pick yet. I'm going with Middle Tennessee as well. I hate to say it.
But I did say we lose to Liberty. And so, what if – there could be a situation where maybe Jack State has the tiebreaker over Liberty and then we're not in it. So that can happen.
Yeah,
but we're going to the conference championship. We're in a bowl game. We're going to win 10 games. We're going to win 10 games this year. I'm calling it.
Shall we now predict which bowl game we're going to, I guess?
Hang on. First off. We need to set this into histoy. Our way too early record.
Wait and see. I promise you.
My record officially is 7-5.
-7?
Shut up. That's just a separator. All right, fine. Give me a second. Jesus.
Wait and see.
-7, he says. All right, there you go. My record officially 7-5. Kevin's record officially 7-5. Johnny's record.
Wait a minute. All right. Smile, Johnny.
Johnny's record 10-2.
All right.
It's happening.
Good times. So what bowl game are they making, you say? Bahamas.
So if we're 10-2, that's like a mid. I'm gonna say we're gonna go to the New Orleans Bowl.
That's a pretty good bowl.
One too.
Yeah. Bahamas Bowl. Duh.
I'm just saying, you guys are sleeping on the Panthers. Okay. We're gonna be so. Hold up. I'll make this other hot take. I'm gonna make this another hot take. Kevon Jenkins, Conference USA Player of the Year.
All right, guys. We'll end the show here.
It's not even June yet, and I'm this type. So
all right. What bowl are they making, Kevin?
I said it. Cure Bowl.
Oh, that's a good bowl. It's Orlando too. We can just drive up.
That's an amazing bowl. Amazing press box. Amazing experience. I highly recommend you guys all to do it.
All righty. So that was our show. Who's winning tonight's game? Panthers or Rangers?
Panthers, baby.
Panthers, of course. Johnny.
Mayor, who's winning? Oh my God.
Oh, we're talking about Panthers. We're gonna win tonight, and we're gonna win. We're going to the Stanley Cup Finals coming this weekend.
Yeah,
we're gonna see them here in Florida.
Hey, and the other biggest prediction: Marlins and Rangers. Jake is gonna attend his first Marlins game at what feels like.
I'm excited for the battle of Sixto Sanchez versus Jose Urena. That's the big story.
Honestly, I can't wait.
You know.
Alex Kretschuk told me it's Trevor Rogers on Sunday.
Yeah,
Saturday. More for Flanagan's night, actually.
I'm going to be on the Sunday matinee game. I think it's also
going to Flanagan's tonight?
Bobblehead game.
Do you guys want my jersey? I'll give away my jersey if you guys want it.
Yes, give me a jersey, bro.
Yeah, give it to.
Give me a jersey, bro.
Yeah. Alrighty, let's wrap it up, Jake.
All right. So that was episode 61. Fun episode. Next week we'll probably have another episode of the podcast. Who will the guest be? We don't even know that yet, so stay tuned. But until then, yeah, just as always, thanks again for watching. Until next time, I'm Jake, Kevin, and Johnny saying so long. Watch some Panthers hockey and Paws Up.